Hey guys, Loco here, and Worlds is going to start very soon, so I'm excited to bring you my Worlds tier list. Man, Worlds is such an exciting time. You get all these reasons finally matching up and to see who's the best team in the world. Usually, the Eastern teams are really favored. Traditionally, the Korean powerhouses, the Chinese powerhouses. But G2 has been making such a statement this year. They won both spring and summer, they also won MSI, and just even from the eye test, they look incredibly good. And it's not just G2, Fnatic's up there, TL's up there. This is gonna end up being one of the most competitive worlds in terms of who can take it all. So yeah, let's start with our S tier, we'll go into A tier, then B, then C. I'll basically go over the four major regions, North America, China, Korea, and Europe, and yeah, talk to you about who I think are the favorites, who I think can contend, and who are just there for the participation trophy. So let's start with our S tier. These are the favorites. These teams are the ones expected to win the whole thing. Any team facing them should be considered the underdog. So first up, we have G2. They are the most flexible and the best well-rounded team in the entire tournament. All 5 players can play pretty much everything. There's no real weak link, and their unique picks plus their top-notch scrimmaging makes them the first ever Western team to be favorites going into Worlds in the modern era. I say modern era because in Season 2 there was Moscow 5 who you could argue was a favorite, but yeah, there just hasn't been a team like G2 in terms of the playstyle and also in terms of just being a Western team being the favorites for Worlds. That's just crazy to think of. So second up, we have SKT. They are the 3-time world champion. No other team can boast the same kind of pedigree as SKT can. I know, it's just Faker and Goma carrying over from that legacy, but Goma and Faker, they play huge voices within the organization. They bring their tried and true teamfight playstyle, and this is a team that's gonna get scarier as the tournament progresses. One thing that's a little bit concerning is they are in the group with Fnatic and Royal Never Gives Up. They could actually make an early exit in groups, but if they get past that, I expect them to make a deep run, probably all the way into finals. Third up, and the last team we have in tier S is FPX, otherwise known as Fun Plus Phoenix. They're an incredibly unique team, and I think they're very much defined by their mid laner, Doinby. He's a very interesting mid laner. He'll play a lot of weird picks that give him priority and a lot of die potential. Maokai, Nautilus, Kled, pre-rework Pantheon, Kiana. He's someone with a lot of game knowledge combined with his own bravado, own shot calling that really plays a role that no one else does. Mid lane isn't really, I would say, like the brain role. It's more of the raw talent role, but he's someone with very unique approach to the game combined with a vocal and a like a magnetic personality. He's just the centerpiece of the team. So him and his jungler Tian have extremely good 2v2. They can match up to pretty much anyone in the world. And while Doinby himself isn't someone with amazing mechanics, he has decent mechanics and game knowledge, and the matchups that he plays and the synergy with his jungler allows him to match up with anyone. As I talked about before, they like to get a mid around mid and jungle and do 3-man dives topside or 4-man dives bot lane. Think of them as a train. Once they get going, they're really hard to stop. But if you can meet them in the mid jungle 2v2, that's where FPX might run into some problem. Another player I really want to mention on their team is Crisp. In the LPL finals, he played Nautilus and All-Star, and I honestly have never seen someone play Nautilus and All-Star to that kind of level. This guy is friggin' crazy. FPX, you guys probably don't know about them, but watch out. My next tier is called A tier, or contenders. These are teams that can potentially win the whole tournament, but they have very strong strengths, also with some flaws that make them a little bit hard to bet on compared to the other 3 teams we mentioned before. So let's start with Griffin. Breaking news, CV Max has split from Griffin going into this tournament, so that's gonna, yeah, I mean, right before Worlds, that has to be drama, because he was, in my knowledge, like signed all the way up until 2020, so it's really weird that they drop him right before the biggest tournament. Well, to talk about Griffin as a whole though, that team, they are one of the best team fighting teams in the tournament. And Tarzan, we have to talk Tarzan. A lot of people rate Tarzan the strongest jungler in the tournament. Some people rate him even the best player in the whole tournament. I think Tarzan is an excellent player, great mechanics, great pathing, great read on enemy junglers, But one thing I do want to criticize a little bit is there's times where he's just not really doing much early game. But once he gets past that point, he does become pretty much a third solo laner. He farms so efficiently, he plays team fights so well. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. They are an extremely unproven team internationally though, and also in best of 5, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Griffin we are going to get at Worlds. They could potentially be a S tier team, but also they could kind of choke again. So a lot of hype behind them, but such little things proven, so it's a team that's really hard to grasp. Secondly, we have Damwon Gaming, probably the most explosive team in the whole tournament. They have the highest highs combined with some of the lowest lows. They have some absolute freaking standout players boasting the best fingers or mechanics, whatever you want to call it. Nagori, Showmaker, Canyon, these guys are crazy good and crazy young. That's the thing though, they're like firecrackers. They can explode, but they can also carry your team. I do doubt their bot lane a lot. I don't think Nuclear or Hoyt are the best duo in the tournament at all, but this team knows how to play towards topside and really cover up their weakness. I think they might burn out a bit in best of 5. That's where I'm the most worried for them, but they are going to be a team that's incredibly dangerous and a team that everyone has to watch out for. Next, we have RNG. It's the same RNG we came to know and love. They're that bot lane oriented. They are that Uzi team. Uzi Ming, an incredibly strong bot lane duo, one of the best in China, and definitely way up there for Worlds. I love this team, and I do think they are going to do well, but one thing that makes me extremely frustrated when I talk about this team is they actually have a pretty strong top side of the map. Like Karsa and Zahu are also very good in terms of like the mid jungle 2v2, but there's so many times where they play away from that and they just double down on playing around Uzi, which is a playstyle that definitely can work, but when you have strong solo lanes and a strong jungler, you just don't have to pigeonhole yourself into that hole. RNG were the favorites last year, but they ended up just not being flexible enough and they got broken apart by G2. And I feel like we're going to get the same kind of RNG. Very strong, a lot of individually strong pieces, but their predictability might be their downfall. Next, we have Fnatic. Fnatic is a very strong team early. They have so much playmaking going on along with their jungler and support, how they move around the map. Like Broxa and Hylissang are such a good duo in terms of activating Nemesis, their mid laner. If you're not ready for them, they will take control and never give it back. They function just very well together and cohesive as a team. It's been kind of a meme in the community about like them having a system or not having a system according to Fnatic, but I think they are very much a systematic team. Everyone on the team has a certain role that they do very well, and they are some of the most draft dependent players in the entire tournament. If Fnatic gets their core champion, Aatrox on Whippo, Nemesis on TF, Hylissang on Pyke or Rakan, they will do extremely well. But sometimes they can kind of end the draft, most notably like their Kassadin in Game 5 versus G2 in the Juggernaut match. Like a lot of the games are going to get decided for Fnatic in terms of how well they draft and how well teams prep for them. We have the first team from NA, oh man, all the way in the bottom of Tier A, Team Liquid. Team Liquid is a team fighting machine. They're a bot lane oriented reactive team. They're very steady. They're very hard to throw off their game. And in a best of 5, I actually think they are going to be incredibly dangerous even for the teams I ranked above them. But in a meta where jungling is so important, Xmithie has to step up. I'm just not happy with his current performance. And he's also struggling in EU solo queue, which is actually worrying. But this team has a lot of veterans. I'm not that worried for them. I do think they'll get out of groups. Oh man, if they end up getting Damwon in their groups, it's going to be a little bit harder. But TL is not going to go the way of the previous NA first seed and hopefully make it out of groups instead of crashing and burning. Now, in Tier B, we have the Dark Horses. Honestly, these teams probably aren't going to win the whole thing, and they honestly won't even make it out of the groups, but they're still here, they're still dangerous, and we still really have to talk about them. First up, we have C9. C9 is, oh man, what to say about C9? They flank a lot, they're extremely good in skirmishes, their mid and jungle 2v2 is actually very formidable even at a world level, and they never roll over. C9 is a team that you just have to respect. When you think, oh man, it's just C9, like what are they going to do in this group? Like it's happened over and over again where they overperform and they deliver results where you just don't expect them to, where the enemy team just outclasses them so much. I think it has a lot to do with kind of the mentality they put on themselves. They're never under so much pressure where they crumble, and also how they approach draft and they play to their strength instead of crumbling to the global meta like so many teams do. they will find a way to give anyone trouble. One thing that is worrying though is a lot of C9's previous success internationally was off of Jensen. But Jensen's now in Team Liquid, so Nifty's done a good job of filling that hole in North America, but yeah, C9 wins out Jensen. I'm not sure if they have what it takes to make it out of groups this time around. So we have our previous world champion here, IG. I ranked them a lot lower than I actually thought I would, but this is a team where I just don't know what I'm going to get. They had a very rocky summer after getting 3-1 by TL in semifinals of MSI. They swapped out their support, they replaced their jungler altogether, Rookie went to Korea, he came back, and they just scraped it in to make Gauntlet and to make Worlds. It's just, what to say about them? They are still very much that style, very coin flippy, very aggressive, very strong solo laners they play towards. It was actually so coin flippy, it was Jackie Love that carried the Shy and Rookie all the way to the finish line. So yeah, I just don't know what kind of form they're going to be in terms of playstyle. They're the same team from MSI, it's just they've been more random and more sporadic. So really hard to make a good judgment call on IG. The final tier we have is the underdogs. I just don't expect anything out of these teams. I think they are incredibly flawed and they're just going to get exposed on the world level. First up, we have Splice. They're a team with strong team fighting players and they beat a lot of EU teams who weren't able to really punish them in the early mid game and really snowball the game where they're weak. But I don't think that's just going to happen at Worlds. There shouldn't be any teams at Worlds that allow Splice to scale up all the way and then finally win with a superior team fighting comp and superior team fighting players. Like, that kind of tomfoolery in the mid game is just not gonna fly at Worlds. At the very least, the flight back home from wherever in Europe to wherever they live in Europe will be extremely short. Finally, we have Clutch Gaming, and Clutch Gaming asks the same question every single time. Can you handle the Huni? A lot of teams in NA weren't able to handle the Huni, and Fiji found a way to make it into Worlds. But yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the teams here are going to be able to handle Huni very easily. It's going to take a lot of stepping up from their mid and jungle, Demonte Lira, for this team to be able to steal any kind of game. I think it's very realistic that they go 0-6 in groups. And a lot of people are giving Clutch a lot of leeway, saying that they're the Vitality of this year. But the thing is, Vitality last year were explosive and unexpected in a meta where people were playing really slow. Clutch has that kind of playstyle, but just the atmosphere and the temperature of the room has completely changed. A lot of people play this like aggressive, fast, like tempo oriented, make sure we have control early game like kind of style. It's just the norm. So yeah, I don't think Clutch is going to be able to do much. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my tier list. It was very fun making it. I left out a lot of the play-in teams and teams I just don't know that much about. And yeah, I just did it on the 4 major regions. So I'll be doing a lot of Worlds content. Listen Loco, Face Check, we're going to do our top 20, all that good jazz. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And let me know, which team do you disagree with the most on my list? And I will do my best to comment back at you. Remember, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco. See ya.